He thought he finished second. NASCAR said 29th. And now, with a chase spot hanging by just 55 points and his contract future still being finalized, here is what is actually happening with Bubba Wallace and 23XI Racing, and it is not what the internet is telling you. Let's start with the moment that changed everything this summer. July 13, 2026. Echo Park Speedway. Final lap. Bubba Wallace is running inside the top three. Ty Gibbs is pushing him toward the stripe, and in a split second, the No. 23 Toyota dips below the double-painted line. He crosses the finish line in second place. The celebration lasts about 4 minutes, until NASCAR officials issued a penalty after the checkered flag that demoted him to 29th, the final driver on the lead lap. A 27-spot swing in the finishing order. A 27-point dent in the standings. Gone. Just like that. Wallace and members of his 23XI team met in the competition officials' hauler in the early hours of Monday morning after the rain-delayed 400-miler. The penalty stood. When Wallace addressed it days later at North Wilkesboro, he was measured but honest. "We got a better understanding of the rule. To me, I always thought it was like gaining position, but no, it's gaining track position, which I totally did. So, it is what it is." He also acknowledged the key detail NASCAR leaned on. "I think NASCAR doesn't ever want to be put into a situation where they have to make the call, and they always tell us to not put them in that situation, and unfortunately, I put them there. So all in all, a rule's a rule. Cross over the line, oh well." That is not a driver in meltdown. That is a driver who understands the sport he races in. But the penalty did real damage, and the standings don't lie. Heading into the final stretch of the 2026 regular season, Bubba Wallace sits 13th in the NASCAR Cup Series standings, 55 points above the provisional 16-driver chase cut line with 6 races remaining. That buffer is real, but it is not comfortable. One bad race, one pit road mistake, one wrong place wrong time wreck, and that margin evaporates. He has been in this position before, and he knows what it takes to survive it. But here is the fuller picture of his 2026 season that the clickbait videos conveniently leave out. Wallace has 3 top 5s and 9 top 10s in 20 races. He has led laps in 7 races for a combined 146 laps. His speed has been legitimate week in and week out. The problem is the other side of the ledger, 6 finishes of 29th or worse. That is the contradiction that defines his season. Elite performance one weekend, catastrophic result the next. As Fox Sports insider Bob Wallace put it plainly, there are races where he looks in complete control. The issue is consistency, not capability. So is this a team in trouble, or a driver one clean weekend away from silencing everyone? Now let's talk about the contract situation, because this is where the internet has completely lost the plot. Bubba Wallace is in an option year in 2026. That is a real and important detail. It means his future beyond this season is not yet locked in on paper in the way some long-term deals are. And that single fact has been enough for certain corners of YouTube and social media to spin up an entire narrative about Wallace walking out the door. But here is what the people who actually cover this sport are saying. Bob Wallace of Fox Sports, one of the most connected insiders in the NASCAR garage, has repeatedly stated that Wallace is expected back at 23XI Racing in 2027. When a reporter asked Wallace directly about contract extension talks, his answer was not the response of someone heading for the exit. "We've been working on it for a while," Wallace said. "That's all coming together really nice. Hopefully we'll have something to announce here soon." That is not ambiguity. That is a deal in progress. Denny Hamlin, co-owner of 23XI and one of the most competitive minds in the sport, made his position crystal clear during a news conference at Sonoma. "On speed, it seems that team is very capable week in, week out of being a top 5 speed team. Execution has been a little bit of an issue. But overall, we definitely don't question Bubba's ability to get the most out of what that car is capable of." Hamlin also addressed the mental side of Wallace's season directly. "At this point of your career, you certainly can regulate that. It's part of the sport. The biggest thing is just focusing on what you can control." And look at the full roster picture for 2027. Tyler Reddick has a long-term extension. Corey Heim is confirmed as a full-time driver for 2027, stepping into the number 35 that Riley Herbst currently occupies. And Bubba Wallace remains the anchor of the number 23, the car and the number this organization was literally built around. Wallace was the first driver signed by Hamlin and Michael Jordan when 23XI was formed in 2020. He made history on October 4, 2021, when he captured his first career Cup Series win, becoming just the second African American to win in the Cup Series, and earning 23XI its first ever victory. You don't rebuild an identity around someone and then quietly push them out. The shocking exit narrative is not supported by a single credible source inside the sport. Here is the part of the 23XI story that almost nobody is covering. The sponsorship picture, and what it actually tells you about where this organization is headed. In January 2026, Xfinity and 23XI Racing announced an expansion of their partnership, reinforcing Xfinity's long-term commitment to the team, the sport, and NASCAR fans. As part of the expanded deal, Xfinity debuted its first-ever branded car in the season-opening Daytona 500, on Bubba Wallace's number 23 Toyota Camry XSE. Xfinity also became Wallace's majority primary partner for the full 2026 Cup Series season. Steve Lauletta, president of 23XI Racing, described what that partnership means. Xfinity has been an incredible partner in helping 23XI Racing grow both on and off the track. Their continued support gives us the resources to jointly create unforgettable experiences for our fans while also competing at the highest level. Then in January 2026, Hardee's, a brand with 12 NASCAR Cup Series victories in the 1980s and 1990s, driven by Hall of Famers including Bobby Allison, Cale Yarborough, and Dale Jarrett, returned to the sport as the official quick-service restaurant of NASCAR and joined 23XI as a primary partner with Bubba Wallace and the number 23 team. Wallace himself framed it perfectly. NASCAR is built on legacy, and Hardee's has been part of some of the most iconic moments in our sport's history. To bring that history forward with 23XI is really special. And then on May 1, 2026, the Coca-Cola Company joined 23XI Racing as the exclusive beverage partner of Bubba Wallace and the number 23 team. Coca-Cola has over 40 years of title sponsorship of the Coca-Cola 600. Wallace returned to the Coca-Cola Racing family after previously being a member from 2018 through 2020. "I couldn't be happier to be back in the Coca-Cola Racing family," Wallace said. "I enjoyed the work we did together in the past and look forward to again connecting with race fans as part of this program." 3 major sponsorship expansions. 1 off-season. All tied directly to Bubba Wallace and the number 23. Teams with no future don't land that kind of commercial investment. Brands like Xfinity, Hardee's, and Coca-Cola do not commit long-term dollars to a car or a driver they expect to disappear. The money tells the real story. So what is the actual drama worth watching? It is not whether Bubba Wallace stays with 23XI. It is whether he makes the chase, and what happens if he does. With 6 races remaining in the regular season, Wallace is sitting on that 55-point cushion above the cut line. The upcoming schedule includes Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where Wallace is the defending Brickyard 400 winner. That is not a small detail. He arrives at one of the most prestigious tracks on the calendar as the reigning race winner, with momentum that matters. Wallace acknowledged the opportunity directly. "Good tracks for us, so yeah, we've been showing up with speed every weekend. Just whatever it is about the first stage blues or the second stage blues will bite us, but we'll just go there and just hit base hits. We'll be fine." The defining statistical reality of his 2026 campaign is this: top 10 in nearly 1 of every 3 races, but catastrophic outlier finishes pulling his average to 17.05. That average is better than 2025 but worse than the 2 years prior. The speed is not the problem. Hamlin said it himself: execution has been the issue. A clean run at Indianapolis, followed by consistent top 15 days through the bubble, and Wallace is in the chase field. That changes the entire narrative heading into 2027. Zoom out for a moment and look at what 23XI Racing actually is in 2026, because the context matters enormously. The team was founded in 2020 and made its Cup Series debut at the 2021 Daytona 500. That makes it still one of the youngest organizations competing at NASCAR's top level. And yet, in 2026, Tyler Reddick won 5 of the season's opening 9 races, including the Daytona 500. A first-year driver from this team won the most iconic race in the sport. The equipment at 2311 is championship caliber. That is not opinion, that is the standings. The organization operates out of Airspeed, a state-of-the-art facility in Huntersville, North Carolina, and the previously announced Xfinity Speed Center provides the team with advanced technology and performance resources. These are not the investments of a team coasting. These are the infrastructure moves of an organization building towards something bigger. Wallace has now accumulated more than 200 starts with 2311, 3 wins, 28 top 5s, and 60 top 10s. That is nearly a top 10 finish in every 3 races across his time with this team. He is not a passenger here. He is the original driver this franchise was built around, and by every account from inside the garage, he remains central to where it is going. The real question has never been, is Bubba Wallace done with 2311? The real question is, can Bubba Wallace close the 2026 regular season strong enough to enter 2027 with momentum instead of question marks? Watch Indianapolis. Watch the Chase bubble. If you want NASCAR coverage built on actual facts and real garage reporting, not algorithm chasing speculation, subscribe and hit the bell.